if you're in that situation where a penalty dictates the outcome of a game, you did not do your job as a team. I'm going to go on a rant for a minute, man, if you allow me to. So, obviously, another big situation in today or this weekend's game. Everybody's mad that there was no DPI called in the end zone against the Chiefs, right? Brian Cook was there early. It is a penalty. We'll start off by saying that was a penalty.
Yeah,
they missed that one. But, however, after that play, the Falcon – go ahead.
What I want to say, like, understanding as well. Yeah, I agree. Sorry. It should have been called, but that was it was hard for that ref to see by the way that Kyle Pitts is a big guy. He's 6'5" or whatever. Right. Big guy, and to see him come into is hard. Not making an excuse. It should have been called, but
so and that's what I'm saying. It's like first thing, referees are human. They're gonna make mistakes, but so we have purposely stayed away. I'm sitting up for this one. We've purposely stayed away from the penalty controversy because really realistically, you're not going to convince anybody on the side. Oh, Chiefs are being like helped by the ref. You're not gonna get into the head of somebody who truly believes that the refs are on the side of the Chiefs or like games are skewed to the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs do have a benefit or a tendency to benefit from calls late in the game, but that's usually because they put themselves in a position to win. Right? Teams that are in a position at the end of the game to win a game are going to be affected by penalties more often than not, right? Yeah. Unless it's a blowout, any close games, there's a good chance a call late in the game could affect the game one way or another.
Absolutely.
Right? But if you're in that situation where a penalty dictates the outcome of a game, you did not do your job as a team to win that game, right? You did not do your job. And that goes for the Chiefs as well. Yeah. Like the fact that these calls, even though they're going the Chiefs' way more often than not, it seems like, the Chiefs didn't do their job.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, on that last possession alone, like, and that's where you have to keep, like everyone, sure, like even for us, it's frustrating. Like when we feel like there's certain calls that should be and we don't get them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like the call on Trent McDuffie.
Yep.
I mean, the receiver clearly went into his body first as where McDuffie was standing.
Right.
It went against us. I mean, just think on what? I think three or four of their first downs came from penalty on us.
Yep.
And some which we did. The horse collar was
after.
On us.
This was after that call in the end zone.
There was after that. So, there was the same scenario on which those calls going against us to where those aren't for us.
Right.
Those aren't for the Chiefs. Those are going against the Chiefs. Right. Some that we think shouldn't be made and some that should have been called, which they were.
Yep.
And it's that point that if they would have scored and we would have lost on that possession, we didn't do our job because it came down to those us relying on we get, those penalties happening against us, and we didn't do our job to close out the game to where that didn't matter.
Right. Well, and so the Chiefs are naturally going to give everyone's best effort, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, for most teams, playing the Chiefs is their Super Bowl, right? A team can go 1-16, but the season wasn't that bad because we beat the Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean,
wasn't that bad.
We seen the Raiders last year. They celebrated hard for beating us.
Right. Well, and you can't tell that all the penalties called weren't penalties.
Right.
I'm sorry. How about you as a defender not run through the back of a receiver going for a ball?
Right.
Simple. Right. How about you as a wideout or let's go to the you as a defensive back. How about you not grab the jersey of a player in the Super Bowl on the last drive?
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that makes me mad about that one is everybody takes the clip of after the break that Juju Smith-Schuster was going into. They always take it when he puts his hand on the hip. No, before he turns around, dude wearing a dark green glove grabs a white jersey and pulls it away from Juju's body. That's noticeable. That's your moronic fault for not wearing a white glove. Wear a white glove.
Right.
You know what color the team's going to wear. Wear a white glove.
Yeah.
That's not going to be seen as much, right? That probably wouldn't have been called. So, like, that's frustrating, okay?
Yeah.
So, no matter what point of the game you're in, a penalty is a penalty.
Yeah.
Right? If there's a penalty, I believe it should be called.
Yeah.
You might be saying, Justin, at that point of the game, the referee shouldn't be pulling out a flag. Just let them play. Okay, I say to you this. Get over it.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, get over it. Maybe the guy on defense not do all the things I just said, right? Play better. Play better in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
You know, how about instead of you guys complaining about no-call penalties, instead of going for a 4th and 5 in the red zone, you kick a field goal to get within 2 of the team. Your defense has been holding this team. Then they go out and get that 3 and out for the Chiefs, and instead of going for it on 4th and 1 again, you kick a field goal. Well, guess what? You're up 22 to 23.
Sure.
And while that doesn't guarantee you win the game, because Patrick Mahomes is on the other sideline, it guarantees you a chance.
Yeah.
You going for it on 4th down every time. Teams think they have to go for it on 4th down because of who's on the other sideline. It's like this mystique, right? So I heard Carrington Harrison say it this way on the drive last night. Shout out to you, buddy. But be team points, right? You should be on team points. I'm for team points, not team 4th down. Like, go for it. No, don't. If you score points, you have a better chance to win the game. Now, statistically, maybe you'll get it, but at the same time, you're not guaranteed that. You're guaranteed points or a chance of points. You could miss a field goal, but do you trust your kicker or not? You pay your kicker money. Give him a chance.
And that's what you see to where we all probably would love, as spectators, like, oh, my gosh, go for it, Andy Reid. It's 4th and 1. Like, you got Mahomes and you got this offense. You got Kelsey. You got Rice. But it's like, he's like, no, I'm going to get the points.
Right.
And we're seeing that in those moments, they are making a difference to the scoreboard. And because of those kicks going, and because taking those kicks, I mean, look at the turnout of that game.
Right.
We don't get those 4th down conversions. Who knows what the score in the game is looking
right.
like?
Well, and so you might also say something about, okay, what about ghost calls, like calls against players that weren't really penalties? Okay, what about Chris Jones being called for a roughing the passer when he had a player's the offensive tackle's hand in his face mask, pushing his head up, and Chris Jones only took 1 step, and they said it was throwing him to the ground. He spun and let go of Kirk Cousins on the way down.
Right.
That talk about ghost calls. That's not on any day. That's not roughing the passer, right? It's not. Then you had the hands to the face by Chamari Connor on that last drive. Where?
Yeah.
Maybe they called the wrong number, but there was no hands to the face by Chamari Connor. Trent McDuffie, when he had outside leverage and the receiver runs into him, he is entitled to that position.
Yeah.
He didn't move towards the player. He didn't move left. He didn't move right. He was planted in his spot. So, okay, that's my like, look, I get it. Do your job as a team, and you won't be put in those positions. The Chiefs tend to get those calls because teams playing the Chiefs feel like they have to play more aggressive to prevent big plays from happening. Because you get to the end of the game, and somehow, no matter how Patrick Mahomes is doing in the beginning of the game, somehow they find a way to win at the end.
Yeah.
Right? So you feel like you got to play more aggressive. You got to get there just a little bit early and risk it. You got to give a little tug on the jersey, right? You got to give the guy a little extra shove on the sideline, right? So, I mean, I get it. But at the same time, you need to stop blaming refs for your team not doing their job for what would we call that? A game is 58 minutes.
Yeah.
Your team doesn't do their job for 58 minutes. You're only going to focus on those last 2 minutes. Like, do your job the other 58 minutes, and you'll have a chance to win, man.
Yeah. Make
better decisions. Be smarter. And, like, I guarantee you, the first thing I will do if we lose and it's a call, if we lost on that last drive where all those penalties were called on the Chiefs, I wouldn't have blamed the defense or the referees for calling that game. I would have blamed Patrick Mahomes for not hitting his targets. Mm-hmm. I would have blamed receivers for dropping passes. I would have blamed defense for not guarding as long as they should, not getting to the quarterback as quickly. You know what I mean? If that ball goes over Matt Ariza's head, I blame James Winchester for not snapping accurately. You know, you got to think of those things. There's 100 and some odd plays in a game. One play called by the referee is not dictating the outcome. Mm-hmm. It might seem like it at the end, but realistically, it's not. Yeah. And I digress. Scene.